Then it began to rot, and its enemies were watching. The eternal city fell, and Rome disappeared.
The Roman Empire did not die in a blaze of glory. It died quietly, not with one final battle, not with one catastrophic invasion, but with exhaustion. For centuries, Rome had ruled the known world. Its armies conquered nations, its roads connected continents, its laws shaped civilizations, its emperors were treated almost like gods. From the deserts of Egypt to the forests of Britain, Rome was everywhere. And then it began to rot, slowly, silently. From the inside out, by the year 476 AD, the empire that once terrified the world was so weak that a Germanic warlord walked into the capital of Ravenna and removed the emperor from power almost effortlessly. The emperor was not a legendary conqueror. He was a frightened teenager named Romulus Augustulus, and when he handed over the crown, the Western Roman Empire disappeared from history. But Rome did not collapse in a single day. By the time that boy lost his throne, the empire had already been dying for generations. This is the real story of how the greatest empire in history destroyed itself. To understand Rome's fall, you first have to understand what Rome once was. At its peak, Rome controlled nearly the entire Mediterranean world. Its territory stretched from Britain in the north to North Africa in the south. From Spain in the west to the Middle East in the east. Nearly 70 million people lived under Roman rule. For ancient people, Rome must have felt eternal. The empire built massive roads across thousands of miles. It created advanced aqueduct systems that carried fresh water into giant cities. It maintained laws, trade routes, taxation systems, and armies across 3 continents. And at the center of it all stood the Roman legion. The legions were not just soldiers. They were engineers, builders, survival experts. A Roman soldier could march for miles carrying heavy equipment, build a fortified camp before sunset, and fight the next morning. For centuries, these legions crushed almost every enemy they faced. As long as the Roman army remained strong, Rome remained untouchable. But then came a problem Rome could never fully solve. Power, because the Roman Empire had one fatal weakness. Every ambitious general wanted to become emperor. And in the 3rd century AD, that weakness exploded. In the year 235 AD, Emperor Severus Alexander was murdered by his own soldiers. That assassination triggered one of the darkest periods in Roman history. The crisis of the 3rd century. Over the next 50 years, Rome went through emperor after emperor after emperor. Most did not die peacefully. They were assassinated, poisoned, executed, killed in battle, or betrayed by their own armies. Some emperors ruled for only a few months. Imagine trying to govern a giant empire while every military commander is plotting a coup. Rome became trapped in constant civil war. And civil wars are expensive. The emperors needed more money to pay soldiers, more money to buy loyalty, more money to survive. So Rome began doing something desperate. It destroyed its own currency. The Roman silver coin, the denarius, had once been trusted across the ancient world, but emperors started reducing the amount of silver inside the coins. More coins could be made that way. At first, people barely noticed. Then they did. The coins became almost worthless. Prices exploded, inflation spread across the empire. Merchants stopped trusting Roman money. Trade slowed down, food prices rose, taxes increased, and ordinary people suffered the most. Farmers abandoned land they could no longer afford to keep. Workers fled cities. Entire regions became poorer and more unstable. Rome still looked powerful from the outside, but economically, the empire was bleeding to death. And while Rome fought itself, its enemies were watching. Beyond Rome's northern borders lived Germanic tribes. For centuries, Rome had considered them barbarians, disorganized, primitive, dangerous, but manageable. But during Rome's internal chaos, these tribes began changing. Small tribes merged into larger confederations. The Goths became stronger. The Franks expanded. The Alemanni pushed against the frontier, and then a new terror arrived from the east, the Huns. Nobody in Europe had ever seen warriors like them before. They moved with terrifying speed. They fought on horseback. They struck suddenly and vanished just as fast. The Huns smashed through entire populations, and in 376 AD, terrified Gothic refugees fled toward the Roman border, begging for safety. Rome allowed them to enter. That decision changed history. The Romans planned to settle the Goths peacefully inside imperial territory, but Roman officials abused them horribly. They starved them, humiliated them, exploited them. According to some accounts, starving Gothic families were forced to trade their children into slavery for food. Eventually, the Goths snapped. They rebelled. And in 378 AD, Rome faced one of the worst military disasters in its history. The Battle of Adrianople, the Roman army was annihilated. 2/3 of the soldiers were killed. Even the emperor Valens died during the battle. His body was never found. For the first time in centuries, the Roman army no longer looked invincible, and once people stopped fearing an empire, its collapse accelerates. Rome desperately needed soldiers, so it increasingly recruited barbarian warriors into its armies. On paper, it solved the manpower problem. In reality, it created a dangerous new system. Many Roman armies were now filled with men whose loyalty was not to Rome itself, but to their tribal leaders. The empire slowly lost control of its own military. And then came the unthinkable. In 410 AD, a Gothic king named Alaric marched toward the city of Rome. For years, Alaric had tried to negotiate with the empire. He wanted land, money, recognitions. Rome refused, so Alaric decided to take what Rome would not give him. On August 24th, 410 AD, the city of Rome was sacked. For 800 years, no foreign enemy had captured the Eternal City. Now barbarian soldiers walked its streets. The psychological shock was enormous to the ancient world. This felt impossible if Rome could fall. Anything could fall. But things became even worse. In 455 AD, another group arrived, the Vandals. They looted Rome again, systematically. They stripped the city of valuables, treasures, statues, gold, and anything worth carrying away. By now, the empire was barely holding together. Britain had already been abandoned. Large parts of Gaul were lost. Spain was slipping away. North Africa, one of Rome's richest regions, was gone. The Western Roman Empire was collapsing piece by piece, and yet even in its final years, some Romans still tried to save it. One of them was a brilliant general named Flavius Aetius. Today, historians sometimes call him the last Roman. Aetius understood Rome's enemies better than almost anyone else. And in 451 AD, he faced the most feared man in Europe, Attila the Hun. Attila had devastated entire regions, cities burned wherever his armies passed. But at the Battle of the Catalonian Plains, Aetius assembled an unlikely alliance of Romans and barbarian tribes and managed to stop him. It was one of Rome's last great victories, but Rome had become addicted to destroying its own best people. A few years later, Emperor Valentinian III murdered Aetius himself out of jealousy. The emperor personally stabbed him during a meeting. One Roman observer later told Valentinian, "You have cut off your right hand with your left," and that was exactly what Rome had done for generations, destroying itself from within. By the late 5th century, the Western Empire was barely recognizable. The emperors no longer ruled from Rome. They ruled from Ravenna, a heavily defended city surrounded by marshes. Even that felt symbolic. The empire was hiding, and in 475 AD, a Roman general named Orestes placed his teenage son on the throne. The boy's name was Romulus Augustulus. It was an almost tragic name, Romulus, the legendary founder of Rome, Augustus, the greatest emperor in Roman history. The final emperor carried both names, but he had none of their power. He was only a figurehead, a child sitting on the throne of a dying empire. Then came Odoacer, a Germanic military leader serving inside Rome's own system. When Roman authorities refused to reward his soldiers with land, Odoacer revolted. His forces marched into Ravenna. Orestes was captured and executed. And on September 4th, 476 AD, Odoacer entered the palace and confronted the young emperor. Romulus surrendered without resistance. No legendary final battle, no heroic last stand. Just silence. Odoacer spared the boy's life and sent him into exile with a pension. Then he did something deeply symbolic. He sent the imperial crown and regalia to Constantinople, the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. He declared that the West no longer needed its own emperor. The Western Roman Empire was over. After nearly 500 years, it was gone. So why did Rome actually collapse? Not because of one invasion, not because of one weak emperor, and not because barbarians were stronger. Rome collapsed because multiple disasters happened at the same time for generations. Political instability destroyed trust in leadership. Economic collapse weakened the empire from within. Civil wars drained resources. Inflation devastated trade. Corruption spread everywhere. The military became fragmented. And outside pressure kept increasing year after year. But underneath all of it, there was an even deeper problem. The people of Rome slowly stopped believing in Rome itself. And once that happens to a civilization, collapse becomes only a matter of time. Because no empire survives only through armies. It survives through belief, belief that the system works, belief that the future matters, belief that the civilization is worth defending. And by the 5th century, that belief was disappearing. But Rome's story did not truly end in 476 AD. The Eastern Roman Empire survived for another 1,000 years as the Byzantine Empire. Roman law shaped Europe, Roman architecture shaped cities. Roman roads still exist beneath modern streets. Even today, governments, legal systems, languages, and military structures still carry Rome's influence. In many ways, we still live in Rome's shadow. And maybe that is why people remain obsessed with its fall. Because Rome forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth: no civilization is guaranteed forever. No matter how rich, no matter how advanced, no matter how powerful, empires do not usually die from one sudden catastrophe. Most of the time, they decay slowly. From corruption, division, greed, political chaos, economic pressure, and the gradual loss of shared identity. Rome is not just ancient history, it is a warning, and warnings only matter if people choose to listen.